The ship was falling apart around her. Hana Kim gripped the control panel as red warning lights flashed across every screen. The metal groaned and twisted. Something had hit the research vessel hard. Maybe a meteor, maybe debris. It didn't matter now. What mattered was that she was going down. Emergency systems failing, the computer announced in its calm voice. Hull breach in 3 sections. Life support at 30%. Crash imminent. Hana's hands moved fast across the controls. She was a scientist, not a pilot. But every human who traveled space knew basic emergency procedures. She aimed for the green planet below. At least it had oxygen. At least she might survive the landing. The ship screamed as it hit the atmosphere. Heat washed over the hull. Hana strapped herself into the emergency seat and pulled the crash webbing tight. Her heart pounded. She thought of her brother Ji-hoon back on the space station. She thought of her parents on Earth. She closed her eyes. The impact threw her forward against the straps. Metal shrieked. Glass shattered. Then everything went black. When Hana woke, pain shot through her left shoulder. She groaned and opened her eyes. Smoke filled the ruined cockpit. Sparks flew from broken wires. She could hear something dripping. Fuel or coolant, both were dangerous. She fumbled with the crash webbing and freed herself. Her shoulder screamed in protest. Dislocated, probably. Maybe broken. She grabbed the emergency pack from under the seat and stumbled toward the exit. The door was jammed. She kicked it once, twice. On the third kick, it fell outward. Hana stepped into an alien jungle. Massive trees stretched up toward a purple-tinted sky. The air was thick and humid, filled with strange sounds, clicks, whistles, roars in the distance. 2 suns hung above, one larger and orange, one smaller and white. The ground was covered in thick moss that glowed faintly blue. She needed shelter. The ship was damaged beyond repair, leaking chemicals that would attract predators. Hana pressed her good hand against her injured shoulder and started walking. The jungle was dense. Vines hung everywhere. Strange flowers opened and closed as she passed, tracking her movement. Something small and lizard-like skittered up a tree. In the distance, she heard a deep roar that made her blood run cold. After an hour of painful walking, Hana found a cave. It was set into a rocky hillside, the entrance half hidden by hanging vines. She approached carefully. Caves meant shelter, but they also meant something might already live there. She clicked on her flashlight and peered inside. The cave was empty. It went back about 20 meters, dry and relatively clean. Perfect. Hana set up her emergency shelter, a thermal blanket and a small medical kit. She tried to fix her shoulder, biting down on her jacket sleeve as she pulled and twisted. The joint popped back into place. She gasped and nearly passed out from the pain, but it was done. For 3 days, Hana stayed near the cave. She treated her shoulder. She found a nearby stream with clear water. She ate the emergency rations from her pack. And she waited, hoping someone would pick up her distress beacon. On the 4th day, she went looking for food. The rations wouldn't last forever. That's when she heard it. A low-pained growl coming from deeper in the jungle. Every instinct told Hana to run. But she was a xenobiologist. She studied alien life. Curiosity was stronger than fear. She followed the sound to a small clearing. What she saw made her freeze. The creature was massive. It looked like a cross between a tiger and a dragon. Its body was covered in dark scales that shimmered purple in the light. It had 6 legs, each ending in curved claws as long as Hana's hand. Its head was broad with intelligent yellow eyes. Teeth like daggers filled its mouth. The creature was dying. Deep wounds covered its side. Blood, dark blue blood, pooled beneath it. And huddled against its belly were 3 small versions of the creature. Cubs. The mother's eyes found Hana. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Hana saw intelligence in those eyes. She saw pain. She saw desperation. The mother made a sound, not a growl, but something softer. Almost pleading. Hana knew what the creature was asking. She had studied enough species to recognize a mother's final request. Take care of my children. I don't know if I can, Hana whispered. The mother's eyes began to dim. Her breathing slowed. The cubs made small, frightened sounds. Hana stepped forward. It was stupid. It was dangerous. The creature could kill her with one swipe. But she couldn't watch a mother die alone, no matter what species. She knelt beside the great head. She placed her hand on the scaled snout. It was warm. I'll try, Hana said. I promise I'll try. The mother's eyes closed. Her breathing stopped. She was gone. The three cubs looked at Hana. They were small, maybe the size of house cats, but already they had sharp claws and teeth. Their scales were softer than their mother's, more flexible. One was slightly larger, with darker coloring. One had lighter, almost silver scales. The third had a distinctive pattern of spots. They should have been terrified of her. She was an alien, a stranger. But instead they crawled toward her. The largest cub reached her first. It sniffed her hand, then pressed its head against her palm. The other two followed. Soon all three were rubbing against her, making small chirping sounds. Hana felt tears run down her face. "Okay," she said. "Okay, you can come with me." Getting the cubs back to the cave was difficult. They wanted to stay with their mother's body. Hana understood. She gave them time to say goodbye. Then she started walking, and after a moment they followed. That night was cold. The temperature dropped fast once both suns set. Hana wrapped herself in the thermal blanket and tried to sleep. The cubs huddled together nearby, shivering. They made sad, lonely sounds. Hana sighed. She opened her jacket. "Come here," she said softly. The cubs didn't need to be told twice. They scrambled over and crawled beneath her jacket, pressing against her chest and stomach. Their bodies were warm. They stopped shivering. Within minutes, she felt them relax. She felt the gentle vibration of purring. They were predators. They were dangerous. They would grow into creatures that could tear her apart, but right now they were just babies who needed warmth and safety. Hana stayed perfectly still. Her back ached from the hard ground. Her shoulder throbbed, but she didn't move. She let them sleep. Above the cave entrance, alien stars wheeled across the sky. Somewhere out there, rescue might be coming, or it might not. But for now, Hana had a new purpose. 3 small lives depended on her. She closed her eyes and listened to the sound of their breathing. Despite everything, the crash, the pain, the uncertainty, she felt something unexpected. Peace. Days turned into weeks. Hana lost count after the 15th day. Time became measured differently now. By the cubs' growth, by their needs, by the rhythm of survival. She named them on the 6th day. The largest cub, the one with dark scales and a serious expression, she called Duri. It meant endurance in Korean, and this cub had shown the most strength. The silver-scaled one with purple undertones became Bora, and the spotted one, the most energetic and fierce, she named Taeyang, because he burned with energy like the sun. The cubs grew fast. Too fast. Within 2 weeks they had doubled in size. They went from cat-sized to dog-sized. Their teeth grew sharper. Their claws grew longer. But they never once threatened Hana. She studied them constantly. It was her nature as a scientist. She noticed things. The way they communicated with each other using different sounds. Chirps for contentment, low rumbles for warning, high-pitched barks for play. The way they took turns keeping watch while the others slept. The way they brought her the best parts of any food they found. They were intelligent, far more intelligent than Earth's predators. Hana had to teach them to hunt. Their mother had died before she could pass on those skills. At first, Hana had no idea how to do this. She wasn't a predator, but she watched them, and she learned. The local prey were small 6-legged creatures that looked like rabbits with scales. They were fast but not very smart. Hana would find a group of them, then show the cubs how to surround them, how to coordinate their attack. Duri learned first. He was patient and careful. He would watch the prey for long minutes before moving. Taeyang was the opposite, all speed and aggression. He failed many times before he learned to control his enthusiasm. Bora was clever. She learned to use the terrain, hiding behind rocks and bushes. Within a week, the cubs could hunt on their own. They always brought food back to share with Hana. She cooked the meat over a small fire, though the cubs preferred it raw. They would sit in a circle around the fire, eating together like a strange little family. Hana's shoulder healed slowly. She made a sling from spare fabric. She did exercises every day to keep the joint mobile. The cubs seemed to understand she was hurt. They were gentle around her left side. Duri once growled at Taeyang when he bumped into her shoulder too hard during play. At night, they still crawled beneath her jacket. Even as they grew larger, they found ways to press close. Sometimes all 3 couldn't fit anymore, so they took turns. One would sleep against her chest under the jacket, while the other 2 curled around her legs. Hana knew she should probably stop this. They were getting big. Soon they would be too large, but she couldn't bring herself to push them away. Their trust was absolute. Their affection was genuine. She was their mother now. That was the truth of it. On the 23rd day, everything changed. Hana woke to Duri's warning rumble. All 3 cubs were at the cave entrance, their bodies low and tense. Their scales had darkened. She had learned this was a fear response. She grabbed a large stick, the closest thing she had to a weapon, and moved to look outside. A pack of creatures surrounded the cave. They were smaller than the cubs, about the size of wolves with hairless gray skin and too many eyes. 8 of them moving in careful coordination. Predators. Hana's heart hammered. She couldn't fight them. The cubs were still too young to face this many enemies. One of the creatures took a step toward the cave. Duri roared, a sound much bigger and more terrifying than his size should have allowed. The creature paused, but then the pack spread out. They were going to rush the cave all at once. Hana raised her stick, knowing it was useless. The cubs positioned themselves in front of her, forming a living barrier. The pack charged. What happened next was chaos. The cubs moved like one organism. Duri took the center, his powerful jaws snapping. Bora went low, slashing at legs and bellies. Taiyang became a whirlwind of teeth and claws, attacking with fearless aggression. Hana swung her stick at anything that got close. She hit one creature hard across the head. It yelped and fell back. The fight lasted maybe 2 minutes. It felt like hours. When it was over, 3 of the wolf creatures lay dead. The others fled, howling. The cubs were breathing hard. Bora had a shallow cut across her shoulder. Taiyang was bleeding from his ear, but they had won. They had protected her. Hana dropped to her knees and pulled all 3 cubs close. They pressed against her, making soft sounds of relief. She checked their wounds, minor thankfully. She cleaned them with water from her canteen and applied antiseptic from her medical kit. "You saved me," she whispered. "You amazing, brave, wonderful creatures. You saved me." Duri licked her face. It was rough like sandpaper, but gentle. That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She stared at the cave ceiling, thinking. The cubs could have run. They were fast enough. The pack had wanted her, not them. But they had stayed. They had fought. They loved her, and she loved them. Completely. Impossibly. These alien predators had become her family. She thought about the Galactic Council, the organization that governed relations between spacefaring species. They had rules about contact with pre-spaceflight civilizations. They had rules about interfering with dangerous wildlife. But no one had written rules about this. About a human woman raising predator cubs on a quarantined planet. About the bond that could form between species that should have been enemies. Hana's distress beacon was still broadcasting. Someone would come eventually. Her brother Ji-hoon would make sure of it. He wouldn't abandon her. But when rescue came, what would happen to the cubs? Would they be taken away? Would they be killed as dangerous animals? The thought made her chest tight with panic. The cubs sensed her distress. All 3 of them woke and crawled over to her. They pressed close, purring. Their warmth soothed her racing heart. "I won't let anyone hurt you," Hana promised them. "I don't care what I have to do. You're mine now, my family." Duri put his head on her shoulder, her good shoulder. Bora curled against her side. Taeyang sprawled across her legs, too big now but still trying to be her baby. Hana smiled despite her worry. She stroked their scales, feeling the smooth texture. They made contented sounds. Over the following days, Hana documented everything. She used her datapad, which still had some battery life. She recorded the cubs' behavior, their intelligence, their coordination, their capacity for loyalty and affection. She made videos of them hunting, playing, communicating with each other. She made notes about their social structure, how Duri was the natural leader but always checked with Bora before making decisions, how Taeyang was the risk-taker who pushed boundaries, how all 3 of them showed problem-solving abilities far beyond simple instinct. "They're not just animals," Hana said into the camera. "They're people. Different from us, yes. But people. They think, they feel, they love." She showed the camera her shoulder, now mostly healed. "They understood I was hurt. They adapted their behavior. That's not instinct. That's empathy." She filmed them bringing her food, sharing their catch. They provide for their family. They understand cooperation. She recorded them playing, chasing each other around the clearing outside the cave, careful never to hurt each other even with their sharp claws and teeth. They have joy. They have fun. They have childhood. Every night she added more to her documentation. It became her mission. If she could prove the cubs were sapient, truly intelligent beings, maybe she could protect them. On the 40th day, Hana's datapad picked up a signal. Faint but definitely artificial. A ship was in orbit. Rescue was coming. The cubs sensed her tension. They stayed close, watching her with worried eyes. Hana pulled them all into a hug. "It's going to be okay," she told them. "I promise. Whatever happens, we stay together." Duri made a questioning sound. "Yes," Hana said firmly. "We're a family now. And humans don't abandon family." She just hoped she could make everyone else understand that. 3 months before Hana's rescue, the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from 47 species filled the enormous circular room. At the center podium stood Ji-hoon Park, and he was angry. "My sister has been missing for 37 days, Ji-hoon said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Her distress beacon is still active. We know exactly where she is. And you're telling me we can't mount a rescue operation?" The council speaker, a tall insectoid being called Vriss, clicked their mandibles together. "Ambassador Park, please understand our position. Ferrith 7 is a quarantine planet. The indigenous predator species, the Ravix," Ji-hoon interrupted. "Call them by name." "The Ravix," Vriss corrected, "have killed 3 previous expedition teams. 74 individuals lost. We cannot authorize another mission to such a dangerous world for one person." "One person." Ji-hoon's hands clenched into fists. "That's my sister. That's a human life. We don't measure worth by numbers." A delegate from the aquatic species spoke up, their voice translated through a water-filled globe. "Ambassador, we understand your emotional connection, but the Galactic Council must think of the greater good. The resources required for such a rescue. We'll provide them," Ji-hoon cut in. "Humanity will cover all costs. We'll supply the ships, the personnel, everything. We just need authorization to enter the quarantine zone." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Galactic Council operated on consensus and careful deliberation. Humans were the newest member species, barely 10 years into their membership. They were still probationary. They didn't understand how things worked. Vriss's antennae twitched. "Even if we granted authorization, there's another problem. The Ravix are apex predators. If your sister survived the crash, she's almost certainly dead by now. The planet's ecosystem is extremely hostile. Then we recover her body," Ji-hoon said quietly. "In human culture, we honor our dead. We bring them home." This caused more murmuring. Many species didn't share this custom. Death was death. The body was just matter. A reptilian delegate spoke, their scales reflecting the chamber lights. "This is inefficient. One dead human is not worth risking more lives." Ji-hoon turned to face the delegate directly. "Let me tell you about humans. We once sent people to the bottom of the deepest ocean to recover the body of a single child. We have climbed the highest mountains to bring home our fallen. We have crossed deserts, fought through storms, and pushed into burning buildings. Not because it's efficient, because it's right. Because we don't leave our people behind." "That's exactly the problem with your species," said a delegate from the Vrel Collective. Their insectoid features similar to Vriss, but more aggressive. "You're too emotional. You risk the many for the few. You form attachments to things you should discard. It's inefficient. It's dangerous. It's why many of us opposed your membership." June smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "And yet we've made more scientific breakthroughs in 10 years than some species made in 100. We've shared medical advances that have saved millions of lives across dozens of worlds. We've contributed technology, art, and philosophy. Our emotional inefficiency seems to produce results." The chamber erupted in debate. Some delegates agreed with Ji-hoon. Others argued against him. The discussion went in circles for hours. Finally, Vriss called for order. "Ambassador Park, we will take your request under consideration. But understand, the probability of your sister's survival is minimal. The Ravix are not like Earth's predators. They hunt in packs. They're cunning. They're merciless." "I understand," Ji-hoon said, "but I also know my sister. Hana is a xenobiologist. She's smart, resourceful, and she understands animal behavior better than anyone I know. If anyone could survive on Ferrith 7, it's her." The session ended without a decision. Ji-hoon returned to his quarters frustrated and exhausted. He pulled up Hana's last transmission, the one sent just before her ship crashed. Her face appeared on the screen, smiling. Hey, big brother. Just finished the survey of the Kelly system. Found some fascinating microbial life. Heading back to the station now. Should be there in 3 days. Let's get dinner at that terrible noodle place you love. My treat. Jihoon closed his eyes. 3 days had turned into 37. Dinner had turned into a desperate fight with bureaucracy. For the next week, Jihoon worked behind the scenes. He contacted every delegate personally. He called in favors. He made promises. He appealed to emotion with some and logic with others. The Scree representative, an avian species with brilliant blue feathers, became his strongest ally. I had a sister too, Delegate Cree said during a private meeting. She was lost on an exploration mission. No one came for her. I understand your pain, Ambassador Park. Will you vote for the rescue mission? Jihoon asked. Yes, and I'll convince others. Your species' loyalty is strange to many of us, but I find it admirable. Finally, 29 days after Hana went missing, the council reconvened. Jihoon stood at the podium again. This time he had a new strategy. I want to show you something, he said, activating a holographic display. The image showed Hana's research vessel. Then it showed various alien species she had studied over her career. My sister has dedicated her life to understanding non-human life. She's written papers that helped establish first contact protocols with 3 species. She's discovered medical compounds in alien plants that have cured diseases. She respects all life, no matter how different from her own. He changed the image to show Vareth 7. Yes, the Ravix are dangerous. Yes, previous expeditions failed. But those were military expeditions or resource extraction teams. They went to Vareth 7 to take something or to fight. My sister crashed there by accident. She's not a threat to the Ravix. She's a scientist who respects predators. She's also prey, the Vrel delegate said coldly. The Ravix won't care about her intentions. Maybe, Jihoon admitted. But isn't it worth trying? Isn't one life worth the attempt? Briss spoke. Ambassador Park, we've received new information since our last session. Your sister's distress beacon is still transmitting. Moreover, it's been moving. Not much, but enough to indicate someone is carrying it. Jihoon's heart leaped. Then she's alive. Or something took her equipment, the Vrel delegate said. The Ravix have been observed using tools from previous expeditions. Either way, we should investigate, said Delegate Cree. If she's alive, we save her. If she's not, we learn more about Ravix behavior. It's valuable data. The debate continued for hours. Finally, Vriss called for a vote. All in favor of authorizing a rescue mission to Vareth 7 for Dr. Hana Kim? Jihoon held his breath. The votes came in slowly. Each delegate announced their decision. Yes, no, yes, abstain, no, yes, it was close. So close. When the final vote was counted, the authorization passed by exactly 2 votes. The motion carries, Vriss announced. A rescue team will be assembled. However, there are conditions. The team will be armed. If the Ravix pose a threat to the rescue team or to Dr. Kim, they are authorized to use lethal force. The primary mission is extraction, not research. And if Dr. Kim is deceased, the team will withdraw immediately. No unnecessary risks will be taken. Understood, Jihoon said. Thank you. Don't thank us yet, Ambassador. Your sister still has to be alive. And even if she is, getting her off that planet won't be easy. After the session, Jihoon immediately requested to join the rescue team. It was denied at first. Ambassadors didn't go on field missions. But Jihoon was stubborn. He argued, negotiated, and finally invoked a human regulation that allowed family members to participate in rescue operations as observers. The authorization came through on day 43. Jihoon would go to Vareth 7. The rescue team assembled over the next 2 weeks. Captain Minho Jong, a veteran of the Human Exploration Corps, was chosen to lead. The team included Marines from 3 species: humans, the reptilian Kresh, and the massive, powerful Threx. There was also a medic. Salman Choi, young but highly skilled, specialized in xenobiology and trauma medicine. I've read Dr. Kim's papers, Salman said when she met Jihoon. She's brilliant. I hope we find her alive. We will, Jihoon said with more confidence than he felt. The team departed on day 54. It would take 6 days to reach Vareth 7. Jihoon spent the journey reviewing everything known about the Ravix. Attack patterns, hunting behavior, territorial ranges. Every piece of data said the same thing. The Ravix were perfect killing machines. They had never been observed showing mercy. They had never let prey escape. If Hana had encountered them, she was dead. But Ji-hoon refused to believe it. His sister was smart. She was resourceful. She was alive. She had to be. On day 60, the ship entered orbit around Verath 7. The planet looked beautiful from space. Green jungles, blue oceans, white clouds. Peaceful. Captain Jong addressed the team. We go in fast and quiet. We locate Dr. Kim's beacon, extract her if she's alive, and get out. Do not engage the Ravix unless necessary. Do not take unnecessary risks. Understood? Everyone nodded. Then let's bring her home, Jong said. The dropship launched, carrying the rescue team down toward the jungle. Ji-hoon watched through the window as they descended. Somewhere down there, his sister was waiting. Hold on, Hana, he whispered. We're coming. The dropship landed 2 kilometers from Hana's beacon signal. Captain Jong wanted to approach on foot, quieter, less likely to provoke the local predators. The team moved through the jungle in tight formation, weapons ready. Ji-hoon walked in the middle of the group, wearing light armor and carrying only a sidearm. He wasn't a soldier. He was just a brother looking for his sister. The jungle was alive with sound. Strange birds called from the canopy. Insects buzzed past them. Something large crashed through the undergrowth nearby, making everyone tense, but it didn't approach. Beacon is close, said Lieutenant Hayes, checking his scanner. 300 meters. Stay alert, Captain Jong ordered. If there are Ravix in the area, a roar split the air. Deep, powerful, terrifying. The team froze. Weapons came up. The Threk soldiers, huge and armored, moved to the front of the formation. That came from the direction of the beacon, Hayes said quietly. Another roar answered the first. Then a third. The team heard the sounds of combat, snarls, crashes, something screaming. Move, Jong ordered. Double time! They ran toward the sound. Ji-hoon's heart pounded. If Hana was there, if she was under attack, they burst into a clearing and stopped dead. 3 Ravix stood in a defensive circle. They were massive, easily the size of Earth's largest bears, covered in dark scales that gleamed in the double sunlight. Their claws were extended. Their teeth were bared. Blood stained their jaws. Dead creatures lay around them. The wolf things Hana had fought weeks ago, but more of them. At least a dozen corpses, and in the center of the Ravix circle, protected by the predators, sat Hana. She was thin. Her clothes were torn and patched. Her hair was a tangled mess, but she was alive, and she was speaking softly to the Ravix, her hand on the head of the largest one. Stand down, Captain Jong shouted at his team. Do not fire. The Ravix turned toward the rescue team. They lowered their bodies, ready to attack. A warning rumble came from all 3 of them. Hana, Ji-hoon called. Hana, it's me. Hana's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide. Ji-hoon? Her voice was hoarse from disuse. Ji-hoon. She tried to stand but stumbled. The fever had returned. Soman saw it immediately. She's sick, the medic said. I need to get to her. The Ravix won't let you, said a Kresh Marine. Look at them. They're protecting her. Hana held up her hand. It's okay, she called to the team. They won't hurt you. Duri, Bora, Taeyang, it's okay. These are friends. The Ravix didn't relax. They kept watching the armed team with hostile eyes. Hana whispered something to the largest Ravix, Duri, apparently. She stroked his scales. Slowly, reluctantly, the 3 predators backed up a step. They didn't leave, but they gave Soman space to approach. The medic moved forward carefully, medkit in hand. The Ravix tracked her every movement. One of them, the spotted one, growled low. Taeyang, no, Hana said firmly. She's here to help. The Ravix stopped growling but didn't look happy. Soman knelt beside Hana and pulled out her medical scanner. Dr. Kim, I'm Soman Choi. I'm going to examine you, okay? Call me Hana, she said with a weak smile. And thank you for coming. I knew someone would. Soman ran the scanner over Hana's body. You have an infection in your shoulder. Old injury that didn't heal properly. Your temperature is dangerous. You're dehydrated and malnourished. We need to get you to the ship immediately. I'm not leaving without them, Hana said, pointing at the Ravix. The clearing went silent. Everyone stared. Captain Jong stepped forward. Dr. Kim, those are Ravix. They're extremely dangerous predators. We can't— They're my family, Hana interrupted. They saved my life. Multiple times. I'm not leaving them. Hana, Ji-hoon said gently, moving to her side. I'm so glad you're alive. But we need to get you medical treatment. You can tell us everything once you're safe. I am safe. They protect me. Hana's eyes were fierce despite her fever. You don't understand. They're not mindless killers. They're intelligent. They think, they plan, they feel. Look at what they just did. They fought off that pack to protect me. Or they fought them off for territorial reasons, suggested a Kresh Marine. You just happened to be in their territory. One of the Ravix, the silver one, Bora, moved closer to Hana. She lay down next to her, pressing her scaled body against Hana's side. The body language was unmistakable. Comfort, affection. Soman saw it too. It's not normal predator behavior. No, it's not, Hana agreed, because they're not normal predators. They're people. Different from us, yes. But people. As if to prove her point, the large Ravix Duri made a series of sounds at the other two. They responded with their own sounds. Then all three moved to sit near Hana, not threatening the rescue team but clearly not willing to let them take her away alone. They're communicating, Lieutenant Hayes said, amazed. That's not just animal calls. That's language. Basic language, yes, Hana confirmed. I've been studying them. I have documentation, videos, behavioral data, months of research. Captain Zhang looked at Ji-hoon. The two men had a silent conversation with their eyes. Finally, Zhang sighed. This is above my authority, he said. We came here to rescue you, Dr. Kim. The Ravix weren't part of the mission parameters. Then change the parameters, Hana said. She tried to stand but swayed. Immediately, all three Ravix were on their feet, supporting her with their bodies. Ji-hoon watched in amazement. They moved in perfect coordination. They were gentle despite their size and strength. They were worried about her. Holy shit, he whispered. They really do care about you, I told you. They're my family. I'm their mother. Or the closest thing to it. Their real mother died shortly after I crashed. She gave them to me. She trusted me with them. Soman finished treating Hana's immediate symptoms. Hydration, antibiotics, painkillers. The infection is serious, she said. You need proper medical care on the ship soon. I'll go, Hana said. But they come with me. Captain Zhang opened his mouth to argue, but then the jungle came alive with sound. Roars. Lots of them. Coming from multiple directions, contact, shouted a Marine. Multiple Ravix approaching. At least 6. The team formed a defensive circle. The 3 Ravix with Hana moved to face the threat, placing themselves between Hana and the approaching predators. 6 adult Ravix burst into the clearing. They were even larger than Hana's 3, fully grown and battle-scarred. They roared at the intruders. Duri roared back. The sound was challenging, aggressive. Bora and Taeyang joined him. They're defending us, Hayes said in disbelief. The cubs are defending us from the adults. The adult Ravix charged. Hana's 3 leaped to meet them. Open fire, Zhang ordered. Protect Dr. Kim. No, Hana screamed. Don't shoot them. They're just defending their territory. Don't kill them. But the Marines had their orders. Energy weapons fired. 1 adult Ravix fell. Then another Duri was fighting 2 adults at once. He was holding his own barely. Bora was bleeding from multiple wounds but still fighting. Taeyang had latched onto an adult's throat, refusing to let go even as the larger Ravix tried to shake him off. Soman made a decision. She drew her weapon and fired, not at the wild Ravix, but at the ground near them. The energy blast kicked up dirt and smoke, creating confusion. In that moment, Hana shouted commands at her cubs. They responded instantly, breaking off their attacks and retreating to her side. The adult Ravix, confused by the smoke and the strange weapons, hesitated. Then they grabbed their dead and wounded and fled into the jungle. The clearing was silent except for heavy breathing. Duri had a deep gash along his side. Soman immediately moved to treat him. Don't, a Marine warned. It might bite you. But Duri sat still, allowing Soman to clean and seal the wound. He watched her with intelligent eyes, seeming to understand she was helping. Incredible, Soman whispered. She treated Bora and Taeyang next. All 3 Ravix accepted her care without resistance. Captain Zhang watched this display and made his decision. All right, he said. The Ravix come with us. But if they show any aggression toward my team, they will be restrained. Understood, Dr. Kim? Understood, Hana said. She was crying with relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet, Zhang said. Getting 3 young Ravix onto a ship full of people is going to be interesting. And explaining this to the Galactic Council is going to be even more fun. The extraction took an hour. Hana was weak from fever and needed support to walk. Ji-hoon stayed by her side the whole time. The three Ravix walked close to her, forming a protective triangle around her. The Marines were wary at first, but as they moved through the jungle, they began to see what Hana had been talking about. The Ravix weren't attacking. They were cooperating. When Hana stumbled, they supported her. When the team stopped to rest, they scouted ahead and returned to report. Actual reporting, with specific sounds that meant specific things. By the time they reached the dropship, even Captain Jong was convinced. "I've been a Marine for 15 years, he said to Ji-hoon. "I've seen a lot of alien species, but I've never seen anything like this. Those Ravix, they're loyal. Like really loyal. It's a human thing," Ji-hoon said with a smile. "We seem to make friends with predators. We did it on Earth with wolves. Now we're doing it in space." The dropship lifted off. Hana sat in a medical chair with an IV in her arm, surrounded by her three Ravix. They were nervous about the metal ship and the strange sounds, but they trusted her. When she told them it was safe, they believed her. Soman monitored Hana's vitals. "You're going to be okay," she said. "The antibiotics are working. Rest now." But Hana couldn't rest. The rescue ship's medical bay was designed for humans, but they made it work. Hana lay in a proper bed for the first time in 2 months, connected to machines that monitored her recovery. The infection was clearing. Her strength was returning. Duri, Bora, and Taeyang lay on the floor beside her bed. They wouldn't leave. The medical staff had tried to move them to a containment area. It had been a disaster. The cubs had roared and scratched at the walls until Hana woke up and called for them. Captain Jong had made the practical decision to just let them stay with her. "They're calmer with you anyway," he had said. Ji-hoon visited every day. He brought Hana real food, not the nutrient paste from emergency rations, but actual meals from the ship's kitchen. Rice, vegetables, protein that didn't need to be hunted first. "You're spoiling me," Hana said, eating slowly. Her stomach wasn't used to rich food anymore. "You deserve to be spoiled," Ji-hoon replied. He watched the cubs, who were wrestling playfully in the corner. "They've gotten bigger. They grow fast. In another month, they'll be nearly adult-sized." Hana smiled at them. "But they'll always be my babies." Taeyang bounded over and put his head in her lap. She scratched behind his ear ridges. He made a sound like purring mixed with clicking. "I still can't believe you raised them," Ji-hoon said. "3 apex predators. They raised me too, in a way. They taught me about loyalty, about family, about trust." Hana looked at her brother. "How bad is it? The council?" Ji-hoon's expression darkened. "They're divided. About half think the cubs should be studied. The other half think they should be returned to Varath 7 immediately. And there's a small but vocal group that wants them destroyed as dangerous specimens. Over my dead body. That's what I told them." In slightly more diplomatic language. Ji-hoon pulled up a holographic display. "I've been sharing your research, the videos you recorded, the behavioral data. Some delegates are genuinely interested. The Scree representative, Delegate Cree, has been very supportive. And the others? The Vrel Collective still insists the cubs are just well-trained animals. They keep comparing them to earth dogs or horses. Useful, but not sapient." Hana's jaw tightened. "Then I'll prove them wrong. When can I present my findings?" "The Bo? Council wants to wait until you're fully recovered, but honestly I think they're stalling. They don't know what to do about this situation. You've complicated everything." "Good," Hana said. "Some things should be complicated." Over the next 2 weeks, Hana recovered her strength. Soman visited, daily to check on her and increasingly to study the cubs. The young medic was fascinated. "Their biology is incredible," Soman said, scanning Bora. "Their scales have multiple layers. The outer layer can change color slightly for camouflage or communication. The inner layers are almost as strong as armor plating." Bora held still for the scan, trusting Soman now. "And look at this," Soman continued. "Their brains are highly developed. The frontal cortex region, the area associated with planning and decision-making, is proportionally larger than in most predators. This is consistent with high intelligence. Can you include this in my report? Hana asked. Already done. I've been documenting everything. Soman smiled. Dr. Kim, Hana, what you've discovered here is revolutionary. If you can prove Ravix sapience, it changes everything. It means there's an entire intelligent species living on Varith 7 that we've been treating as mindless animals. That's the plan. But I need to get in front of the council. I need to show them. That opportunity came on day 23 aboard the ship. Hana received a message from Jihoon. The council has agreed to an emergency session. You'll present tomorrow. Be ready. Hana spent the entire night preparing. She organized her data, she rehearsed her arguments, and she explained to the cubs what was going to happen. Tomorrow I have to talk to some very important people, she told them, sitting on the floor of the medical bay. All 3 cubs gathered around her. They're going to decide your future, our future. I need you to trust me, okay? And I need you to behave. Show them what you really are. Duri made a low sound and pressed his head against her chest. She wrapped her arms around his neck. We're a family, she said. Nothing is going to change that. I promise. The next day, Hana stood in the council chamber. It was her first time seeing it in person. The enormous circular room was intimidating. Dozens of alien faces stared down at her from their seats. Duri, Bora, and Taeyang stood beside her. They were nervous, so many strange beings, so many unfamiliar smells, but they stayed calm. Hana had asked them to, and they trusted her. Vriss, the council speaker, called the session to order. Dr. Hana Kim, you may present your findings. Hana activated her holographic display. Images of Varath 7 appeared, followed by images of the cubs at different ages. 2 months ago I crashed on Varath 7, she began. Her voice was steady, confident. I was injured, alone, and stranded on one of the most dangerous planets known to the Galactic Council. According to every report, I should have died within hours. But I'm standing here today because of them. She gestured to the 3 Ravix. They sat obediently, watching the council with intelligent eyes. I know what the previous reports say. The Ravix are apex predators. They're aggressive. They're territorial. They've killed dozens of explorers. All of that is true. But it's not the complete truth. Hana changed the display to show the video of the cub's mother dying. Some delegates looked away. This Ravix was attacked by something. She was dying, and in her final moments she did something remarkable. She entrusted her cubs to me. An alien, a creature she'd never seen before. She looked into my eyes and she understood that I would protect them. An animal protecting its young. The Vrel delegate said dismissively, This proves nothing. You're right, Hana agreed. That alone proves nothing. So let me show you more. She played video after video. The cubs learning to hunt through observation and practice. The cubs coordinating their defense against the wolf pack. The cubs bringing her food when she was feverish. The cubs making specific sounds for specific situations. A warning rumble, a greeting chirp, a questioning trill. This is learned behavior, Hana explained. They observe, they adapt, they communicate. They showed problem-solving abilities, they demonstrated empathy. When I was injured, they modified their behavior to avoid hurting my shoulder. That's not instinct. That's understanding. Soman stepped forward. I can confirm Dr. Kim's findings. I've examined these Ravix extensively. Their brain structure is consistent with sapient species. They show emotional complexity. They've formed bonds not just with Dr. Kim, but with members of the rescue team. It was true. Over the past weeks, the cubs had warmed up to Soman and a few of the Marines. They had favorite people. They greeted them differently. That was social behavior. Delegate Kree spoke up. Dr. Kim, these are impressive findings, but these are 3 individuals. How do we know the entire Ravix population shares these traits? We don't, Hana admitted. That's why we need to return to Varath 7, not as conquerors or resource extractors, not even as researchers at first, but as diplomats. We need to attempt communication with the adult Ravix population. The chamber erupted in arguments. Many delegates thought this was absurd, dangerous, impossible, but others were intrigued. The doctor makes a fair point, said a delegate from the Threx. We've always approached Varath 7 with weapons drawn. Perhaps that's why the Ravix attacked. They were defending their territory from invaders. Or perhaps they're simply violent predators, countered the Vrel delegate. We shouldn't anthropomorphize them based on 3 juveniles bonded to 1 human. Hana felt frustration rising. She looked down at Duri. Show them, she whispered. The large cub stepped forward. He walked to the center of the chamber floor, alone. Then he did something that made the entire council go silent. He bowed. Not a crouch, not a submission posture. A clear, deliberate bow, human style. Something he had learned from watching Hana. Then he looked up at the council and made a sound. It was the greeting trill, the sound the cubs used when meeting friendly beings. He was saying hello. The chamber was dead quiet. Bora and Taeyang joined their brother. All 3 performed the bow together. Then they sat, waiting. They're not performing tricks, Hana said softly. They're introducing themselves. They're trying to communicate with you, because they understand what this moment means. Delegate Kree stood up. Honored members of the council, I believe we're witnessing something historic. These beings show clear signs of intelligence. If we ignore this, if we dismiss them as mere animals, we're making a terrible mistake. Other delegates began to speak. The debate raged for hours. Some wanted more proof. Others wanted immediate action. A few still insisted the cubs were dangerous and should be removed. Finally, Vriss called for order. This council faces a decision. Do we recognize the Ravix as potentially sapient beings? And if so, what actions do we take? I propose we establish a protected zone on Varath 7, said Delegate Kree. No mining, no colonization. And we send a proper diplomatic team, led by Dr. Kim, to attempt communication with the adult population. Seconded, said the Threx delegate. The vote was called. It took 3 rounds, but eventually a consensus was reached. Varath 7 would become a protected world. Hana would lead a diplomatic miss.